Hi, this is Bill Sang, and this is the Bill Sang Podcast. I'm here with my wife, Melissa, and we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic tonight as she recently listened to a video of a woman who lived under the reign of Adolf Hitler. So, Melissa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Tell us a little bit about this woman that you listened to today, was it?
Yes, and I actually want to start off telling you a little bit about why I was searching for some information. My mother immigrated from Austria when she was 8 years old, and she grew up in a Christian family. Her family took their faith seriously. She attended a church, and the church has so many people that came from Germany and Austria that they actually started a German service. And so what I noticed growing up in that church is that a lot of people from Europe, from Germany and Austria, they were very adamant about coming to America and finding a church. I found that so fascinating that faith was such a part of their life, and they took it seriously. I also grew up a part of a German family society, and so I did German dancing, and that was a lot of fun. I got to eat all the good German food, so that was just great. And I noticed the people that were part of this club, they also were very family-oriented. They took their faith seriously. They were just great people. And so I visited Germany and Austria and a couple other countries in my growing up years, and I noticed there was such a difference between what I saw from the German people in America to what it was like over there right now. It's beautiful countries over there, and so it really bothered me. When I visited these countries, I saw, huge cathedrals, and the only people in them were tourists. So I thought, this is a little bit, just doesn't sit right with me, because to me, the people in the church should be, people worshiping God. So I was just always confused why, the Germans here in America, they were going to go to church, and then when I saw Germans in, Germany, Austria today, they don't go to church. They don't talk about God. I didn't see crosses anywhere, so I wanted to figure this out.
Yeah, and strangely enough, I have to say that my exposure to modern day German culture is that it seems like it's very secular, and I think that it'd be very foreign to Germans living in Germany today to think of their country as a religious nation. But one of the wild things about Germany from a historic standpoint is it is the home of some of the most prominent Christians in all of history, one of them being the very father of the Reformation himself, Martin Luther, who started this movement to transform the church. Essentially, he founded the Protestant church. Of course, he even has a church that bears his name called the Lutheran Church to this very day. But basically, he founded more or less every established Protestant church through the Reformation, and other people came alongside him and created this great movement. But also a man during World War II by the name of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He was came over and was a professor in America for a while, and when he heard of the horrible things going on in Germany, decided to go back, and he even took part in an attempted assassination of Adolf Hitler. That failed, and ultimately Dietrich Bonhoeffer was martyred. So some very, very prominent Christians acknowledged. Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote a very famous book called The Cost of Discipleship. And then it talked about this concept of costly grace. So very, very prominent Christians from Germany. So it's surprising that German culture, Austrian culture has gone so far from that since then.
Yeah, so the video that I'll be referencing today, I saw it on YouTube. It's called Camp America, Kitty Worthman's Speech, Howard Lake, and the last name is spelled Werthmann. She talked about growing up in Austria. The people in Austria were just under this depression. Most people didn't have much food at all, and so They petitioned for an election, and they elected Hitler by 98%. They thought, he was just going to do great. He was making all these promises to help their country. And what they noticed is as soon as he got elected, in their schools, he replaced the crucifix with a picture of himself, of Hitler, in the Nazi flag. They had prayed before and after class at school. And they had religious education twice a week. And so Kitty, the lady that speaks in this video, said that he completely eliminated religious songs. He eliminated, pictures of Jesus, the cross. He just eliminated even church for the kids. The parents had to take their kids to school on Sundays. They had political education is what they called it. And they were taught in this on a Sunday morning not to listen to their parents. And so it totally changed the culture of, from what I see of the Germans in America that grew up, in the church, grew up reading their Bible, they grew up praying, to what we see now. It's more or less a godless culture.
Now, this sounds very creepy to me because lots of things that you said are familiar to me. Like, I mentioned in our last podcast about a teacher of mine that had told us that lots of things that we believed were simply beliefs that were passed down from our grandmothers to make them feel good about themselves, it was also an attack on our parents because our parents were their grandparents, would be our grandparents. And so, basically they're telling us that our parents were wrong. Now, more so in college. There's only this one teacher I can think of in high school that basically did that. But when you got to college, basically all the teachers on some, not all of them, but a lot of them on some level were telling you the things you currently believe are wrong, the things your parents taught you are wrong, and you have to believe our way. But also I have to say that even though I didn't take a huge part in this discussion myself, and I don't have a lot of passion for it necessarily, there was a discussion about taking down the Ten Commandments. And when you talk about how Germany took down the cross and put up this picture of Hitler and a Nazi flag, it sounds eerily similar to the idea of taking down the Ten Commandments, as that is a religious symbol that was placed inside of our classrooms. What do you think that we have learned from the experiences of this woman?
I believe that I've learned that the people in government, they know what they're doing. They're repeating the same things that Hitler did. They taking away freedom of speech. They only had one voice in the media under Hitler, and they also took away their gun. And so we see the same things that the government knows what they're doing. They're just repeating it. So we have to ask, ourselves, are we learning from history just like, the governments are? But, we also, just as Christians, have to see that, our truth never comes from the government. It comes from the Bible. And so, like what you preached on this past Sunday is we have to know the Bible, and to realize that our hope doesn't come from the government promising, that we're going to be safe. Most of what we see in the Bible is the government's become corrupt, and so we aren't to, put our trust in what they have to say for us, but more or less, put our trust in God and, His creation. He created so many things that are good, and wholesome, healing, so many things that are healing to our bodies. Oh, just to name a few, like getting rest, having sunshine, to fight off sickness, blueberries, cinnamon, lemon, so many things that help our bodies to recover and to fight off sickness that, actually work. I think we just have to be aware to not put ourselves in the hands of the government. I also want to share 2 Thessalonians 3:3. I think it's just a great passage to let us know, what we are to be concerned about. It says, "The Lord is faithful, and He will strengthen and protect you from the evil one. So we aren't to be afraid of sickness. We're to be aware of the evil one. And so we don't put ourselves under, their care, under the care of someone that's not looking out for us. We're to know that God's the one that looks out for us, be praying. And also, I know we want to share Psalm 2. So did you want to go ahead and read that?
Yeah, I'll share Psalm 2. And basically, what we need to remember is that our trust and our hope is in God. And ultimately, one of the things that mankind has tried to do throughout history is try to help God along the way. And basically, mankind screws it up in that regard. Unfortunately, I think that government on a different level is more sinister than that, quite frankly. And I think that Psalm 2 sums it up very nicely, what it is that organized governments try to do. In Psalm 2, it says, "Why do the nations conspire and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth take their stand, and the rulers gather together against the Lord and against his anointed one. Let us break their chains, they say, and throw off their fetters. The one enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord scoffs at them. Then he rebukes them in his anger and terrifies them in his wrath, saying, I have installed my king on Zion, my holy hill. I will proclaim the decree of the Lord. He said to me, You are my son. Today I become your father. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. You will rule them with an iron scepter. You will dash them to pieces like pottery. Therefore, you kings, be wise. Be warned, you rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and you be destroyed in your way. For his wrath can flare up in a moment. Blessed are all who take refuge in him." We'd like to thank you for joining us today. This is the Bill Sang Podcast, and I would like to ask you to like, share, and subscribe, and join us next time. Thank you.